Let's see, I've got an assignment due in 3 weeks. I should probably get started on that right now. Get it done, get it out of the way. Well, actually, 3 weeks is a long time. How about this? I'll get the assignment done next week. Yeah, that'll still be great in terms of productivity. Okay, that week flew by. Just a couple days left now. It's no problem. Still in that brainstorming phase. Okay, day of. It's no trouble. It'll come to me. It's 11:50 p.m. This thing is due in 9 minutes. I'm a productivity machine. I am typing so fast my fingers are smoking. Not really. And done. Glad that's over with. Dang. Wow. That was not my proudest moment. I am very familiar with that type of procrastination, the big task type procrastination. In fact, that story is nearly identical to several other close calls I've had with deadlines. But it wasn't just when large deadlines approached that I felt that type of anxiety and stress. In fact, I felt exhausted nearly every day. I would drag through the school day, moving about my classes like a zombie, and arrive home, collapsing on the floor, unable to even process the unfathomable amount of work I had left to do. I felt lost, stuck in an endless loop of fatigue. Until one day, I decided I wasn't going to tolerate it anymore. No more lying on the floor, waiting for my problems to be solved. I was going to be productive. I thought, I'll just set deadlines for myself to keep myself accountable on my projects. It was a foolproof plan. No, it wasn't. I continued to feel overwhelmed and exhausted, keeping tabs on a million things. The problem was the way I kept track of things. It just wasn't sustainable mentally. Specifically, I realized the problem was my procrastination on the small tasks, the emails, the scheduling, the planning. I would always put them off until later, and they would pile up, sapping my energy and mental resolve. As I discovered this problem, I began to go down the rabbit hole of solutions. I wondered why this problem even existed in the first place. After all, small tasks are small. They shouldn't take that long, so why was I so hung up on them? I began to search online. I looked at videos for procrastination, articles about study systems, and I realized the problem was not the tasks themselves. The problem was how I dealt with them. I didn't truly deal with them. I never had a system with them the way I did with larger tasks, since they were, small, and instead just pushed them off to the side. So, I began to prioritize the completion of them. As the tasks arrived, I would complete them as soon as I could. The ones I couldn't complete, I would write down. I realized I didn't even know how many things I was keeping track of, even subconsciously speaking. We hold a lot more in our brains than we think we do. The key is to minimize the number of things we truly need to hold in working memory. We only have a certain amount of brain capacity to be able to function. I always imagine it as a computer of sorts. The more tabs you keep open, the slower the computer runs. What would run faster, a computer that only has 5 tabs open, or one that constantly has to switch between 100 tabs? In fact, there's actually a number in psychology that refers to the approximate number of objects a person can hold in working memory. This number is referred to as Miller's Law, the idea that a person can only hold 7 plus or minus 2 objects in working memory. Go beyond that number and we begin to experience lag, like a computer, only in the form of mental fogginess and exhaustion. By getting as many tasks out of the way as possible, we ensure that we have the most optimized performance. By clearing our minds of the small tasks, we shorten the mental to-do lists we've created for ourselves, giving us more energy to actually get started. So, how do we implement this? Well, the most important part is that we need to apply the same mindset we apply when being productive towards larger tasks. We need to begin taking note of small tasks the way we take note of larger ones and prioritize their completion. Anytime we receive a small task, something under a minute or 2, we should do it. If we get an email, we should respond to it as soon as possible. If we need to schedule a meeting, we should pull out our calendars and schedule it then and there. If we need to run an errand, we should do it, or at least write it down. Anytime we receive a small task, we need to take the initiative and tackle it. By prioritizing these small tasks, procrastinators are able to have a clear mind, finding themselves with less stress and more energy. Anytime you get a small thing to do, just do it. By taking time out on these small tasks, we ensure that we remain in control. We have the power to take back our lives. All it takes is a little prioritizing.